Do you think? All right, bud.
We are live.
Yep.
Nice. Here we go. All right.
All right, bud.
We are live.
Yep.
Nice. Here we go. All right. We got anybody in here yet?
Make sure you mute the YouTube
What do I got to mute?
side. Go to your YouTube side and mute that. That way it doesn't. If you're on the YouTube channel or on the YouTube podcast at the same time, it's not echoing because there's a delay. So you just mute the actual YouTube video.
I'm not on the YouTube video.
Okay, then maybe it's Jeremiah.
Yeah, mine's muted. But yeah, you can't see the chat unless you pull that up.
He's over here. You got to wave over here if you want to wave.
All right, I posted a thing on my page, so hopefully we get some people coming over here.
Yeah.
Got 5 people in here now.
Hey. You need to go
I did find a picture of some. I got pictures on here. I can screen share some tire setup.
So you need to go upstairs and play with Mom. Okay?
No.
Okay, then you need to be quiet. You can be with me if you want. It's fine.
I got a screenshot of set of Unillis with chains on them. Picture. Yeah. So I mean, I got some pictures on here that I can share through a screen share.
Okay.
I'm not
Well,
sure how.
You guys want to just go ahead and get started what we're talking about here with the tires and go ahead and get this thing going. Obviously, we're already live, so we're wasting some time. But so today we just kind of wanted to try to do a subject matter. We want to talk about a lot of people use specific setups for hill climbing. Some of this stuff's still new to a lot of people. I'll be honest, I'm not a pro at it, but I just started going extended about a year ago. It's almost a year ago to date, actually, somewhere in February, I think it was. This is my first real ride with my extension and chains. So I got a table here behind me. It's got some tires on it. I was just going to kind of show everybody what we kind of use and what we recommend and what people like. So basically, when you have a stock four-wheeler, typically stock swing arm anyway, you want to run mostly rubber because chains are going to pretty much throw you back. And unless you're in the winter and running on ice in a dirt situation, you want to keep your chains off. Now, when you go extended, what that does is it takes a lot of weight on those tires off. So you get a lot less traction. So you got to inhibit your traction. So chains is kind of the way that most people go. We've had people use studs, and there's a lot of different, like I said, setups out there. But the setup I'm going to talk about today is going to be chains and what I use. Now, Brogan can probably speak more on the studs. He's did some homemade setups and had some pretty good luck with those. But I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple tires. So these are kind of a thing of the past anymore. These are actually pro wedges. But I don't have my force nose unmounted right now, but this will give you an idea. These are very similar to the force nose. This is a Pro Wedge 2. It's a 22-inch tire. This is what we like to run chains on. This is
an 8-inch rim? Or is that the 9? Well, they didn't make them in 9s, did they?
Yeah, this is an 8. This is an 8-inch rim. With the force nose, I run a 9-inch rim and run the chains on them. I mean, the chains, to be honest with you, these are Sedonas here. I got a bag of chains just to kind of show you. These are what we run. They're pretty common, pretty inexpensive. It's pretty easy to to put on. And they do stretch, so they will stretch. And when they do, what I like to run is bungee cords. So some people don't like the bungee cords, and some people have really good luck without running them. And you can run them pretty solid without them. A lot of times, if you take the tire pressure out and then mount your chains and then put a little bit of that pressure in, we don't run high pressure anyway, but when you put your 3-4 pounds of pressure in there, you will get them chains to be pretty tight on there. They will stretch though, like I said. So if they stretch, you're going to want to tighten them in some way, whether you take them home at the end of your ride and you take a link out. Usually, in my experience, it takes, I don't know, 4 or 5 good rides. Depends on how hard you are on them, if they get caught on anything, things like that. But I like the bungees because even when they start to stretch, the bungees kind of pull them in and keep them tight. And I've broken bungees before. I carry extra bungees on me. And I usually just strap them to the back of the grab bar on the quad. And if one breaks, I can simply just put another bungee on and we're good to go. Chains are still tight and no issues. So if you see with this, sorry.
I was just going to ask, what other method would you use?
So
to tighten them up?
Yeah. So this is if you look on this tire real close, this has a turnbuckle on it. This was my first method before I actually went to the bungees. I thought that would be more heavy duty, and it is. But you can see this is tightened all the way down. The threads are actually touching each other right now inside the turnbuckle. It's kind of like a clothesline tightener is basically what that is. You can buy them really cheap at Walmart. You can buy these chain links or additions here, and you just bolt them right in. And you always got to have something here in the middle to keep that from spinning, to keep that because if that'll spin on you and actually back itself out. So you got to put some kind of tether on there so it will not do that. So I tied a tether into my bungee cord, so I kind of got a double security deal there. So these are pretty heavy duty. I ran the crap out of these for a couple years during the winter on a stock quad. This was before I went extended. So it just kind of gives you, these are just some old tires I had sitting, and they're also studded. So you can see I ran them on some ice.
Those just sheet metal screws?
Yeah, and I've had pretty good luck, to be honest with you.
Mine all came out.
Yeah, but mine didn't. I even ran these on the lake with some pretty good wheel spin. I mean, I've had a few pop out. There's some missing, but
Right.
I went like every other row on them. I didn't put every single tread mark. But I like these tires because the tread is just worn down enough where the chains just hook. But I also get some rubber. So if you can kind of look right here on the side, you can still get a little bit of rubber, but also get into the chains.
I was gonna make a couple comments. Those straps, the bungee cords, EPDM strap.
Yeah.
I buy them off eBay. I just type in EPDM strap just so that anybody's curious how to find them or whatever. And then I was also going to say to help from stretching, if you bring your tire back over where they hook, I weld those. I know it's kind of hard to show you what I'm saying because I don't have one handy, but where it hooks around, the chain goes around the outside of the tire, and then you got your cross chain. Those hooks right there, I weld those because we'll actually start stretching and actually start unhooking, especially if you're flipping the sides of trees and stuff like that, going down roads or anything like that. So I always lay them out on the floor and weld those off before I put them on, just to help the stretch factor. But yeah, I run the EPDM strap as well. Are you on the chat, Luke?
That's what I'm getting on right now. Actually, I wasn't on there before.
Chad Holt asked what's the process to install it. I actually did make a video. I don't know if I still got it. I'll have to look, but I did a whole chain install and recorded the whole thing. I don't know if people with tires. Hopefully I do. I'll
tires cut up.
I did a whole chain.
Be quiet. What? Why have to be quiet?
Yeah, Luke, your volume's up a little bit. We can hear us through yours.
All right, we good now?
Let me talk. Yeah, sounds good.
Am I echoing?
No,
Nope, didn't hear me. Okay, cool. Hi, everybody.
Hello. Hello. I am.
y'all are freaking awesome. Y'all got some of the biggest balls in the world out of this.
All right, I'm having troubles here. Sorry, give me a second here. I'm trying to pull the link up here.
Click it on the, it's in our private chat right at the top. I posted it.
I know, I'm trying to pull up the live link though. I'm having troubles.
Cody B asked, what's your favorite all-around tire? I think everyone that we ride with, we can all generally agree either the Ford Snow, like you showed,
Because there's no
you're extended with chains, but the hill climbing, yeah, that's probably your best all-around tire. I think everybody pretty much agrees on that. Tire pressure-wise, 2 pounds, 3 pounds, depending on if you're running chains or not. You might want to run like 5, but they're going to grip more with the less tire pressure. So if you see some, there is some good footage of watching the Ford Snows in action. They actually kind of fold like a drag car tire when they're being really squished, which is sweet. They'll actually kind of fold around rocks and sticks and all kinds of stuff like that. But yeah, less tire pressure, better usually.
I was those first tires that you showed. I can remember back when I was a kid going to buggy hill climbs and Jeep hill climbs and stuff, and the tires that they ran were very similar to that. Only they had a paddle type cup thing that ran all the way across the tire. It didn't zigzag or any, you know what I'm saying? It was just one solid. And most of the stuff they were climbing though was sandy soil and stuff like that. But
those pro wedges are great for the sand. I mean, they're what classified as a sand tire, if I'm not mistaken. Snow and sand, I think, is what they say those are for. But
well, wouldn't that all, like, you know, you were saying it all depends on the terrain. You said you were riding on ice and they, you know, how the chains and the studs and, you know, I guess it all does depend on the soil and the terrain you are riding in, correct?
Yes. Big
Definitely.
factor.
And we know, depends on the location you're riding. If you ride Perry State Forest, for instance, it's got all kinds of different terrain there. You got sand, you got some hard packed, you got some good soil to get down to, and versus like a Wellsville, on average, it's going to be much more difficult to get traction in Wellsville. It's a lot of hard pack, been rode on for a lot of years, a lot of the older hills. Now, if you put in a new hill, unless you run into a bunch of rock or something, you're going to get some good traction at first. But it really, I mean, to be honest, you should set up your traction, set up your quad or dirt bike even for whatever you're riding for that day. I mean, I may ride one weekend in the same exact place versus another weekend and have 2 completely different setups. So it depends on the temperature outside, it depends on how much rain. I mean, it depends on a lot of stuff. So this is stuff you're just going to pick up and learn over time. It's not something, some of this stuff isn't just simple yes or no, or this is the way it's going to be. Same thing with when I raced. I mean, you got to really change your setups based on the terrain. There were some tracks that were really rocky and rough, and you definitely want to run a 6-ply tire. And there's other times you may want to run a 4-ply, get a little more traction and chance to get in that flat even. So there's a lot of variables. With hill climbing, we don't do too much sliding in the corners and things like that, so we can get away with a much softer tire and get better grip. So like these tires behind me, these pro wedges, they're more like a 2-ply tire, and the Force Snows are pretty much the same. So they're a lot softer, and if you run like 3 pounds in them, Some people even run like 2 pounds. They almost look flat, and they actually balloon and flex. So that helps keep the chains on as well. So that's why I think the Force Snow and chain combo is becoming very rapidly the best tire, at least in most hill climbers we ride with, their opinion anyway. The best tire chain combo.
What I was just going to ask Luke, what are the studs in that one tire?
What are the studs in the tire? The 6-ply I got?
Yeah.
So they're just sheet metal screws. It's just something that I decided to throw in there just to try out, and I was surprised because I've heard a lot of people talk about, and even Brogan made a comment a little bit ago that they come out, with wheel spin. You get a lot of wheel spin, and they tend to pop out with high RPMs. And I haven't had that. I mean, I've had a few come out, but not enough to pretty much be disappointed with it. I would run that setup again.
Right.
But now, Brogan, did you what kind of ply tire did you use when you did that?
Can you see my screen share?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those are them XC Masters, same thing as a Razor 2. Those are just 7/16 grade 8 bolts with big washer on the inside, little one on the outside, and double nutted. That's what I'm running right now, but I've since then cut a V pattern in the tread. Cut basically half the tread out for even more traction, and then added chains to them because plus 10 swing arm, like you said earlier, takes like all the weight off the rear tires. So I was sitting all the way on the ass of the quad trying to get traction, and it just wasn't happening, even with studs. So that going too long can hurt. So, but with the chains and those studs, it's been pretty good. I do still got to lean back on it here and there, and rock it around and stuff like that. But obviously, the extension gives you the capability for the really stupid, crazy stuff. So I just wanted to show that. I don't hear an echo. I didn't feel like typing. I also got a picture. Those are my Unillis I had. I don't have them anymore. I sold them to one of my buddies. But that was right after I put the chains on. I don't know if you can even be able to see, but right here was where I was telling you I weld all them hooks so that it doesn't.
Oh, you're talking about the hooks on the chains themselves, not the. I thought you were talking about the hooks on the bungee cords. No,
right here, because those will slowly stretch out, and then chains come loose. I mean, you always get wear here. All your joints always wear down. I mean, I've worn to the point where they broke. But yeah, I got some more pictures on here, but I figured that was a few good ones to show.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Z is gone. So.
Bet that was a sad day.
Yeah. Like I said, I pretty much got a whole nother one in my parts room. So
real quick on those Unillis, those are another option that people do. Some people are scared of the 2-ply tire and they want something a little bit more durable, and those Unillis are kind of the go-to for snow similarity, I guess, with the 4-ply. So it'll give you a little bit stronger sidewall and puncture resistance, but it definitely doesn't flex near as much as the Force Snows. It's not as tall as the Force Snows, even though they're a 22-inch tire, the same as the Force Snows. They still are definitely a shorter tire. I'd say probably almost an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch when you put them side by side with the same pressure. So
yeah, for sure. Unless you put like 5 to 7 pounds, is way too much because they're 4-ply instead of 2. So you really only want like 2 pounds in those. But yeah, when I pick them up, I'll put them right next to a 20-inch tire, and then they're the same. I mean, they're not a 22 if you actually measure it, but that's what they're listed as. If you put a ton of air in them, I guess they'll get up to a 22. But
yeah, I think it's pretty close to like a 21. I ran those balance tires, and they had such deep lugs. They were considered a 20, but they actually measured 21. And I put them up to Unili's, and they were the same height. So, like I said, even though they said they were 20, it really measured a 21 tire, and that's why I like those, because they were great for knobbies for a stock swing arm. They were good soft lugs. You could get some life out of them if you had a knobby knife or something to cut them with, and get a really good bite out of those tires. But then again, those are a little heavy and a little pricey. But if you had a knobby knife, you could definitely get your money's worth out of those tires. They were tough tires, and they were good soft knobs. Those were probably my favorite stock length swing arm tire to run if you're going to run all rubber.
I wanted to just show Banshee Brian's tires that he was running, at least in this picture. I'm just kind of going through some pictures and stuff, but those are the Super Swampers.
Those are bolted, right?
Yeah, they're I can't remember what size. They're not as big as the ones that I run, but
How far extended is that thing?
plus 12.
Jeez,
And
out there.
yeah, and it's a beast. And when you spin them so fast, because that thing's got so much power, I don't know what other option it has but to go forward. Because he's got some pretty cool videos from, just recording the rear axle and the rear ends. You can see how fast the tires are going, and yeah, it's a Banshee, a built Banshee. So yeah, but those tires are just they're kind of heavy. So I mean, I ran the Vampires, but they weighed like 25 pounds a tire, and I was trying to run them on the Z400. So it worked, but as soon as I studded them, I didn't have enough power to spin them. So I ended up selling them. But that's yeah, I just thought that was a good picture there. I'm just looking through, seeing how much, seeing what I can find for good tire setups or whatever. We've all experimented with different stuff, but the best all around, yeah, we already discussed that.
Yeah, well, I can remember you, Rogan, showing me all the different methods and chains and your stud. And yeah, I'd say it, I don't ride like I used to, and I sure don't hill climb, but it's on guns, guitars, it's like reloading. You find a good load, and it's the same thing of what you're saying with the terrain you're riding, finding the best all around tire or chain stud combo. Trial and error on all of it, I would think.
Yep. I found a couple more. I tried those. You can see those. I can't remember what those were called, but those didn't actually work very well. That's what I first tried on the YFC, and I ended up selling those because, yeah, they weren't performing as well as I wanted. I never tried putting chains on them, but
it looks like you cut out some of the tread. Yeah.
But they didn't perform like I needed. So like I said, the Razor 2s or the XC Masters with the studs and chains, that has done me quite well.
Yeah, I see Colton's been asking a bunch of stuff here, so I think some of it's been addressed, but I just kind of got into the comments. Sorry, guys. I think here he asked, what kind of exhaust do you have on your quad? I'm not sure who he's referring to. We all have different ones, but I mean, any exhaust, in my opinion, that has proven gains is something that's worth putting on your quad. Everybody has opinions, and I think exhaust is kind of, I think it's more about sound and just adding a little bit of power. I don't know if you're going to look for max performance out of a certain type of exhaust versus another, but I've always liked Curtis Sparks, just like the sound of them. I just put an old White Brothers on my other quad, so I like them all. I've heard them all. Any decent, well-known exhaust that shows proven gains is a good exhaust, in my opinion.
Right.
I seen it looks like Chad has already replied to some of the Clayton's questions, but we do have a big ride coming up April 6th. That is going to be our next big group ride for Hill Climb Ohio. We usually have about 100 people, give or take, show up for that ride. We try to make some fun, interesting things, make some good climbs, some fresh new stuff to climb, throw some bounties on some hills for some people, and just have a good time. We're going to be doing some other events this year as well. Rogan's still planning on putting on his hill climb in Wellsville, and I'm working on one also for one down this way. I'm more southeast Columbus, and Rogan's still a good distance from Wellsville, but he still likes to do the Wellsville competition, which is great. So you said 4 snows going downhill, Chad. Yeah, 4 snows without chains, they can definitely be a little slippery, especially if you get sideways on them. They don't have a whole lot of side bite. So that's something else to mention with those 4 snows for those guys out there used to trail riding fast or racing. If you try to go sideways in a corner with a 4 snow, especially if you don't have chains on it, you better be prepared to slide out. So
For sure.
really work that clutch and get the wheel spin down so you don't slide out.
Yeah, I've popped them off the beat a couple times taking corners.
Yeah.
They fold too easy. You got to run bead locks if you're trying to. Plus, they'll spin on the rim too if you don't run a bead lock. I've seen that happen.
I was going to say, if you run them low inflation, then it's more likely to happen, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
I just pulled this up just because that's another. We all know that wreck, but
I was just going to say, I know that wreck.
yeah, I was running. Those were Duro hookups. They didn't do too bad, obviously, with the studs in them, honestly. But the problem was the first weekend in Wellsville, I had 3 or 4 holes in each one in the sidewalls. They had, I don't know, they just sucked for holes in the tires. It was ridiculous. I was putting plugs in them multiple times a day. Every day I rode them, and I'm like, okay, that's not going to work. So that's, I mean, other than that, those are kind of like your Maxxis balance, or not balance, but the eye razors. They're pretty close to an eye razor or whatever, but they're just, I don't know what it is with their sidewalls suck, because, I mean, Wellsville's rocky, but I never had a problem with the holes in the sidewalls like I did those. So. Those are 1/2-inch studs there, or bolts, whatever. What Cody B is, you ever get rid of your YFC for another LTZ? No. I'm not going to get rid of that for an LTZ, but I might get another LTZ or build one. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'd do that.
Yeah, Code. Who was that? I just lost it. I'm gonna pull it up. Was that Clayton again? I was asking about our favorite hills to climb, or maybe a favorite hill to climb, something fun, fast, maybe even technical, long. Brogan, what's your thoughts on that? What's one of your favorite hills to hit?
Oh, geez, I don't know about a necessarily particular hill, but in the sense of, do I like a real steep one, a high-speed steep one, more than I like a long technical one? Man, I don't know. It's about the adrenaline, the fun. I mean, yeah, I definitely love hitting walls and getting air and stuff like that, but the long ones are just as fun. And sometimes, I mean, there's usually safer, but not necessarily. Not necessarily, because if you do lose it, it's a long technical hill. Your quad's got a long ways to go before it gets to the bottom. But then you got stuff like Crazy Horse, which is steep and crazy, and if it does go back down, it's getting pretty mangled on the way. Even though it's not that long of a climb, it's just so steep that it's going straight down instead of going down kind of slow. I've had some pretty bad wrecks on those. You wouldn't have thought it would have got that destroyed. So, but yeah, I don't know. For for me, it's about the adrenaline, whether it's a long hill or not. I mean, the stupid, crazy steep ones are definitely more intimidating because you're hitting a crazy wall or something, you know, you're kind of scared. Not necessarily scared, but it's more scary looking than one that's just long and it's decent and fine. Because you feel like you can at least save the quad if it's not a wall. I mean, you're pushing it when you get so steep, you're not going to be able to save it if it's going back down.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably, with my answer to that question, I would probably say I have different types of hills that I enjoy depending on how my quad's set up too, now that I've done the extended stuff. So like with a stock quad, I really enjoyed in Wellsville, I really enjoyed the Lion's Head hills, Lion's Tail. All those were really fun on a stock quad. You know, they were just long enough and just steep enough and just technical enough to really, you could spend all day there pretty much and just hammer on them hills and have a good time and not make one every single time you try it. And usually you can save your stuff on it, but it's kind of like if you don't get the right hand on it or you're not quick enough, you can definitely lose your quad on it. So it was, those hills were just the right kind of setup for a stock quad to really have a good challenge and have a good rush and some fun climbing. So, but then when you go extended, it changes your whole atmosphere of, you know, what hills are fun and what hills are not. So, I haven't been into Wellsville more than once, maybe twice now with the extended. So I haven't really beat on too many hills down there to really see what I could do or what was fun with the extension. But at Perry, you know, back to the stock quad again, I really enjoyed Samson and Goliath. Those were just fun hills, and those hills have changed so much over the years and evolved. They used to be really steep and just tough to get up. A lot of clutching, a lot of technical, you know, backing out of the throttle on the steep stuff and getting back in it when you had a little bit of plateau, so to speak, and then, you know, trying to get around the roots. And then now rocks are showing. There's just huge ruts in them, and so they've changed a ton over the years. But yeah, those are just a couple that I can think off the top of my head. They're just really fun hills on a stock quad because that's the more experience I have on climbing is on the stock versus the extended. I really do. I climbed some new stuff at Perry I'd never climbed before once I got the extension, one of them being Iron Maiden. And that hill is a pretty impressive hill. You know, me and Matt are the only two on quads so far up it, but it is it's a fun hill. You definitely want spotters on it at the top, because you will pay for it if you lose your quad on that one. Because if you do wreck on that, you're also pretty much in trouble because you're in a valley and you got to be able to get the quad up the other side of the valley because there's no other way out except for up a hill. So that's another added challenge.
Right.
All right. Is there any? Where's it called? I'm having a difficult time between the two screens here, but let me see if there's anything else. Any problems with crap hitting y'all's chains when you stretch the rear swing arm? So Clayton asked if we have any problems with crap hitting our chains when we stretch the rear swing arm. I'm assuming he's meaning our drive chain. And yes, you do get not as much as you think, but you do definitely get a little more. You got more of a space there to hit, so obviously you're going to have more of a possibility of having issues.
Yeah, singing guide is for me like
yeah, and I've had that's kind of an excuse, I guess, but I've had very little time to get my quad set up properly with the chain guide and all that. So I just been running the chain right now without the guide, and been having a couple issues with the chain popping off. A couple of them has been because of some buildup in between my sprocket guard and the chain and all that. So that's probably a whole nother thing we could talk about at some point. But yeah, we definitely have some issues. And if you're running a good chain guide, I think it takes away most of those issues. You don't have any problems. But with the 22-inch tires too, that definitely helps. It keeps your ground clearance up, so you don't have to worry about it as much.
I just pulled up a quick picture, but as you can see there, my axle snapped. Well, it was on flat ground. Those were the super swamper vampires I tried running. That might be part of the fact that I wanted it snapped, because they're so heavy and grip so much. I don't know. I was on flat ground. I just took the gas. My tire went flying in the woods. I had to go back and get it. But yeah, I just seen that picture. That was the tires I tried running. Like I said, they're like 20, 25 pounds a piece. So just a little too heavy.
Yeah, especially for that quad there, Brogan. I mean, I was kind of surprised you were running those on that quad.
Yeah, I thought I'd try them out. I'm like, yeah, screw it. A light tire with chains on them, okay, but no, they're really heavy. They're really heavy. So it bogged it down too much. Took too much power away. I couldn't spin them. You got to have some wheel spin when you need it. So you ever been to Aspen, Indiana?
No, we talked about going out there a couple of times, me and some friends of mine, and we never have made it. Have you been out there, Brogan?
No. I've really only been to Hillsville, Wellsville, Perry, and Wayne, then local spots. I think that's about it.
I've heard there's some decent climbs out there, but there's not that many of them, and I think they've been hit on for many years between buggies and all kinds of stuff. So I don't know that it's worth it's pretty far out there. I think it's probably not any farther than Wellsville for me. I think it's 3 hours or so. I'd have to look it up and see again. But we did have a trip planned there at one point and just never made it.
Yeah, I'd like to check it out sometime. I mean, I'd like to make it to Trevorton too, but it's so far from Wellsville. It'd probably take me like 9 hours to get there or something.
I think I'm 7.5 on my end to get out there. Yeah, so I too would like to get out there and check out some of them.
I guess I forgot Florida when I mentioned the places I've been.
Right.
I forgot about Florida. I don't know how I can forget about that, but yeah, been to Florida. Sucks I didn't get to go this time, but at least my quad didn't explode down there. I would have been really mad.
Right. Well, do you have anything else to add on the tire setup subject? I mean, I know we kind of covered what I can think of as far as what I use and what I've used in the past, and chains and.
How about front tires? Do you like to run 22s, 21s, 20s? I know a lot of people. I like to run 21s right in the middle. But
that's what I do. I run the 21s. I pretty much adopted that for my racing days again. They were less roll. I feel like they just handle better. And I mean, those don't take into too much place sometimes with hill climbing, but to me, even going down a hill and stuff, I think the 22s are just, they roll a little. And I like to keep the front end a little bit lower. And it seems kind of crazy as you're going up a hill that's ridiculously steep, but it definitely helps just a little bit, I think, on keeping that front end just a little bit lower, your stance a little better.
My thoughts exactly, yeah. A little bit lower front tire and then lower the front end, actually the whole quad, lower it just a little bit. Keep your center of gravity down to the point where you're not bottoming out on everything, but as low as you can get. To find that sweet spot where you like it anyway, your personal opinion. But yeah, I mean, like I lowered the Z shortly after I started hill climbing. And, then I talked to Catfish about it. I'm like, just lower it down just a couple inches, man. You'll see how much of a difference that center of gravity makes when you're going up something. It'll keep the front end down just a little bit more. And you keep the front tires on the ground, you can keep going.
I agree. I one of the first things I did when I put my swing arm on there was it messed with the lowering link. I put the XC lowering link I always ran for racing, and I had to get a lower stance, because when I first put the swing arm on it, it sat up pretty good.
You were
and
talking,
the lowering link definitely helped.
You were talking the front tires in size. Do you have a preference on tread style or anything? Does that make a whole lot of difference for you?
Oh yeah, depends on where you're at once again, but I'd say one of the better all-around tires, and even one of the more popular tires out there for most applications, is going to be your Razor 2s or your GBC XC Masters.
Any other copy?
Yeah, I mean,
like awesome.
That tread pattern seems to be the most popular. I mean, I've seen some different types of lugs that's even use that same pattern, just a different lug. So that pattern just seems to be where it's at. A lot of people like to use those in reverse. They have an arrow on them for their directional tires, but a lot of people don't run them in reverse. I don't know if you've done that before, Brogan, but
no, I don't think on the fronts. On that note, the rears. But most people run the force nose backwards from the traction because the sharp lip, the Unili's, the sharp edges on the front side. So run the Unili frontwards and force nose backwards. The pro wedges, I think those are the same on both sides. But I see most people run them backwards.
Yeah, pro wedges are different on each side, just like the force nose. I just looked at it.
Yeah, I've never had a set, so.
This is my first set. I haven't ran them yet. I just happened to find them, so I got lucky and got a good little buy on them with the rims on them and everything. So I'm gonna try them out soon.
Sweet.
I took them to Florida with me for backups just in case, and I did get a flat tire, but it was at the end of the third day, so I never messed with it.
Right. We're probably almost wrapping up, but Senior texted me, asked if we were live, and he said to give him a shout out. So shout out to the Florida boys if any of you are listening.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, just a real quick plug on that. We met up with some guys in Florida that are some very avid hill climbers, and they are right up our alley. When we all hit it off really well, and it's amazing to find people that love this sport, if you want to call it a sport. It's kind of unique, and I think it takes special people that enjoy this as much as we do, and what we do, the way we do it. So these guys are definitely right up our alley on our style and our we bash on each other just like they do, and it's just we fit right in. So we all became friends immediately. So
I was just going to say, if you can call Texas Hold'em a sport, put that on ESPN, I'd say this is a sport, right?
Yeah, this might be more of a sport than some other ones out there that call themselves sports, I'd say. But yeah, we love hooking up with groups like that. The Florida group, Senior is one of the best I've seen out there. So, and it's nice to learn and pick up some things from other groups and other people. I've actually picked up some stuff from Senior myself, and I think some other people have, and I know they've learned some stuff from us too, coming up here and running on dirt versus the sand. And so it's pretty cool to learn new skills, new riding areas, new setups, it really is. That's why I do it. This is why we do it. So
I know Brogan there did a live video when he was down there in Florida, and I was asking questions, and I could tell the soil, how sandy it was, and he was saying how different it was down there than from up here. And so yeah, and goes back to the tires. It all boils down to the terrain and what you're doing, and some's going to work good for one but not the other. And
Yep.
You know what? That just goes to show how amazing that 4 snow chain combo is, because Senior came up here and chain, and he kept them on when he went to Florida.
Luke locked up. You're locked up there, Luke.
I was gonna say he'll come back. There he is. There he is.
Here I am. Well, I didn't see anything different on my end, so I don't know if it was me or you. Right. Anyway, I was just starting to say how those 4 snows and chains are pretty universal. Senior went down there in Florida after running up here with them and tried them out and loved them so well that he kept them on, and he really enjoyed. And he still runs them. He keeps them on. And I ran him this year down there. Ran him last year down there, and the snows with chains are very hard to beat as an overall all-around tire. They really are in almost every application.
Yeah, I agree there. I ran the Unillies on the Z when I was down there, and I was surprised with. I mean, some of the sandy hills down there, I buried the ass end and did not think that I was going to keep going, and it just kept chugging along, shoveling sand. But those were the Unillies. Like 4 snows, they're just good or better. So. But I did notice when we were down there, I mean, obviously you did too. Some of them hills were actually pretty packed dirt, and kind of like up here. And then you go over here and it's super sand, like just sandy as hell. So it's actually kind of a cool all around different terrain place to ride. That's for sure. Not real rocky though. Not real rocky, but.
You're freezing.
All right. Anybody else got anything else to add? Or any other comments or questions we need to take care of?
400EX boy out there in the chats. He said you guys need to go to Royal Blue. Where's Royal Blue?
I believe that's either Kentucky or West Virginia. I think that's a Kentucky. I'm not sure.
It says instead. What? Yeah, I'm not really sure exactly. Instead of y'all going to Brimstone, got Royal Blue. I'm not really sure exactly. And then he said you guys need to go to Royal Blue.
Well, I've been to Brimstone, and we had a good time there. It's
in Tennessee.
Yeah, the Brimstone's in Tennessee. I think Royal Blue maybe it is in Tennessee. I was thinking Kentucky, but anyway, we can look it up and talk about. I'd like to talk about riding areas at one of these, or maybe our next podcast could be about riding areas. But Royal Blue, I haven't heard much about it. It's for hill climbing. I've heard it's a lot of side-by-side activity and stuff there. But if there's climbs there, give us some videos, give us some information, and we do trips all the time. So I like to get in 2 or 3 big trips a year if I can. And Royal Blue could definitely be on the list if there's some potential there. We do Hatfield McCoy, and it's been pretty similar to a lot of that, like Royal Blue, Brimstone, those kinds of areas. So just a lot of rock and just long, slow, steady climbs. Technical stuff. We went over the steep, flat rocks, and it's definitely challenging.
Hatfield McCoy is pretty big. I heard it was like 2 different states, or it's right on the state line or something like that.
Yeah, it's West Virginia, and it's expanding from county to county to county, and they're trying to link them all together. Ultimately, I don't know how many systems they got right now. I think say 7 maybe, but it just keeps growing, and it's the towns in between are ATV friendly, and it's a whole different atmosphere.
Right.
I mean, it truly is like an off-road community feel. So, but all right. Well,
I've seen should I get a 450R? Dude wants to. He's at. I mean, you can answer that question.
There's definitely nothing wrong with getting a 450R. I don't know what you're running right now, or what you're considering else. What else you're considering along with the 450R? we kind of touched base in the last podcast about different quads and how most of the 450s are pretty much the same. I mean, it depends on how you set them up. The YFZ and the Honda seem to be the two most popular just in general 450 quads. And they're the ones you can get the most parts for. You know, if you're going to get into something like hill climbing like this and get into the big stuff and start escalating into these bigger, crazier hills, you just got to plan on parts, and you got to plan on backstocking yourself with some extra stuff. So I would definitely recommend the Yamaha or the Honda just for those two simple aspects of just getting parts and just easy access into everything. You know, you got videos out the wazoo on how to replace things and fix things, and everything's so common with those two units anymore. The Suzuki's hard to work on. The Can-Am's hard to find parts for. I mean, there's the KTM is almost impossible to find parts for in that kind of caliper. So, yeah, those are definitely the top two.
I'd have to agree there. And just riding a place like Wellsville, you ain't even got to climb nothing. You ain't got to even beat the quad. Just ride it around, and you're wearing wheel bearings out, going through brake pads like nothing, and wearing bushings. I mean, everything gets wore out just riding that place because it's so rough. So definitely having something that parts are like the Z400 has plenty of parts available. But we're talking about 450s here. But yeah, I never had any trouble finding any parts for that or the YFC. So definitely got to remember keep that in as a factor of parts availability for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, you start getting, like you were saying, the Can-Am and the KTMs, and you start getting into the, you know, even Husqvarna, you know, they might make some great stuff, but if parts aren't readily available, you might be shooting yourself in the foot.
For sure.
Definitely. All right, guys. I think we pretty much touched base on the tire setups. I'm sure there'll be more questions and stuff in the future. We can try to maybe answer them through our comments and stuff. But we'll talk about, you know, once again, we had some lack of communication before this podcast. We didn't really have a ton of planning on this, but we do want to get better at this, and I promise you guys we'll have some really good stuff coming up. We're gonna have some video clips, some still shots. I mean, Brogan kind of shared some stuff there with us today with some still shots on the tire setups, but we got some things coming up that we want to share and maybe even announce on here. Like I said, the hill climb event that we're working on. I got the area nailed down. I don't have a date set yet, but I'm working on that. Hoping to have something here the next week. So maybe next podcast we'll announce that. So.
All right. Well, I know there's only 3 of us, but I guess just do our final say and drop out. If you want to, Dad, I guess you go first. Armament and Axes.
Yeah, I'm Armament and Axes. You can find me on YouTube, HugeTube, Gun Streamer. Mostly shooting videos, but there's one music video on there. Working on a couple others, but I don't hill climb, but I'll still ride. I just getting old and osteoarthritis and whatnot. I can't take the hits anymore, but I still love to ride though. And I mean, I grew up doing it. Jeremiah grew up doing it, and yeah, now I know where he got it from. And of course, like I've always said, he took it to the next 3 or 4 levels above me for sure. But that's about it. Check me out on YouTube. Happy for the invite. Thank you.
Yeah, all right. You can check me out, HILLCLIMB OHIO JB. I'll be doing podcasts as well. We did it last week, and yeah, you guys know what we do. You done seen the videos. I'm gonna try and get them and keep posting them, and hopefully get the quad fixed up. So I got some more. I mean, I got plenty of content still that I got to get done, but hopefully have some more new stuff and get out there this year again. Hopefully, be making 2-3 trips. Well, I'd like to do 2-3 trips a month to Wellsville, but that's what I used to do. So shout out to everybody that came in. Thanks for stopping by. Again, HILLCLIMB OHIO JB. We'll see y'all.
All right, guys. Yep. So like he said, just check out our channels. We're going to be doing this podcast thing weekly now on Sunday nights, 7 o'clock. We're going to rotate between my channel and, it's Luke Cremine. Most of you guys probably knew who I am too. So obviously subscribe to both, Brogan and I, and if you're interested in the Armor and Axes channel as well. So yeah, we definitely want to keep this going and make this some exciting. We got some ideas and stuff that we're working on to do some more content and some different things than just sitting here and talking. So it involves some other people that are on here live with us, and do some Q&A time with some people, and writer profiles, things like that. So we definitely want to add more into this. So all right, we'll see you guys next week.